Hello, this is Olivier. Well, it's these lazy summer days, but as they say, money never sleeps. Interesting subject this week because, first of all, this is the Renko chart of the euro. It looks like the last we have these days where nothing happens, and then all of a sudden you get these huge spikes and things all over the place when numbers come out. I never could figure that out, why things need to jump that much one way or another. I guess it's just market makers, all sorts of hedge funds, people like that. But it's just surprising that they react just on a number and do nothing for about 2 days before. It's always surprising. Anyway, you have ways to capitalize on that. But if you look at the Renko chart, it's all Zen, isn't it? I mean, look at this, how, clear and neat things seem afterwards, but, this is real time. I mean, if you came in here on the Renko, you might have thought, oh, this is, what's happening to the dollar or whatever, but the Renko is telling you to buy, you had a good buy. And here it's telling you to sell, and you've had a few little sort of, oh, what do I do? Often you come out here and you might come back in here, get stopped out, so you're going, oh, Rinko's not working. You get another trade here and here. What are you going to do? So, you've had choppy days, obviously. This is today's spike, but you can see how it looks on Renko. So, probably a buy here. You would have caught the end. Um, and this here is probably the best way for me to visualize, because I need, I need things visual, where I should be because it stayed blue the whole time. Same with this indicator. And this is a mixture of 10 different Renko timeframes. Um, uh, Now you're going to tell me, how can you have different Renko timeframes because Renko is not dependent on time? Well, you can if you use ATR. So this is using different ATRs. So this is, but actually what I want to talk about today is, I'm sorry to go through this over and over again, but you know, I started selling my black box system about a year ago. It was a pro system. It went up to $1,000. It did extremely well for a few months, and greed set in. You know the whole story. Blah blah blah. 3,000 comments. I took it off because I just couldn't take the trolls and the criticism and the personal insults and the pictures of certain things they were putting up on my page, etc. And I made a simpler, more, let's say, based on the 7 versions of the black box, which was done by a programmer with 8 years experience with hedge funds. So he did a real jewel, especially on my main module, which is still the base of everything, the base of my whole system since 2001, which I used to do manually. And I added 3 or 4 other modules. So you're entirely covered. You have a trend module, which is based on Renko, really, which is very complicated to do. And you have a volatility module, which tries to pick up spikes in volatility. And you have a breakout module, which is based on my what I call my pet peeve, which is basically a squeeze break, a break from when the basically the Bollinger Bands are inside the Keltner bands. You can look that up. You get a very low area, like here, a very low area of volatility, and boom, a squeeze break. But if you put all these modules together, then you start writing really bad reviews because they think about it, they all do different things. My main module is a range uh, uh, module. The market range is 75% of the time. I'm quite content to have just the main module running on Euro, and I can make money constantly on this. And I'm going to repeat this again and again and again because I've gone out this summer because I get bored just, I need to keep myself busy. I've bought every bot There is the top bots. I bought the really expensive bots. You know, I bought them all. I wanted to try them. I said, what's the big deal here? Ones that had really good reviews. I try and buy the ones that come out early before the price goes up fourfold, etc. Now, my conclusion is there's probably only one robot I like there. Now, and I'm not going to say which one it is, but it's, you know, 5, 6 times the price of mine. Okay, the only one I like, although it needs a little bit of constraint sometimes. There is a very expensive bot there. You might like it, you might not like it, but it works. You know, and you buy a bot for that price, and you get very few trades, and they're not always good. I'm saying nothing bad against the programmers. Programmers, some of them work their butt off. They work for years. I'm saying nothing bad. I'm a trader. I'm not a programmer. I'm not talking about techniques, whatever. But you know, try and find the holy grail. You're not really a trader. I've been trading since I was 16 years old. And, you know, it's all about rolling up your sleeves and having a good mechanical system that basically puts your rules in and gives you discipline. That's what the black box is about. Now, in its simplest form, let's go through the black box game. This is basically what you get without having all the fancy stuff that I would put on to make it look nicer. This is what you're getting. This is a BBSO module, just the main module running, okay? I won't tell you what happened here. This was today. It was pretty good, but you know, it makes an optimized band here, which is based on a lot of factors. This is the self-optimization that's done it here. It's based on, I put 3 orders max. Its calculated band should be 20 and deviation 2.75. So you see you've gone out. The average range that Bollinger recommends is 20 and 2. So you've gone out above. But last week we were like in 33 bands and things like that. It works out steps. It works out trailing ATRs. It does all sorts of things, and it also will give you the trend. This means basically go ahead. There's no real trend, so you can do some range trading. Okay, this is a range market. That's what it means. If it's a strong, this is calculated by a very complex algorithm based on ATR. If it's a strong uptrend and we're at the top of the band, and basically we try and sell at the top of the band, depending on conditions, which are not. It's not a touch and go, as some people might think. There's, you know, 250 lines of program just the way it enters up here, so it's not that easy. And also, you know, the bandwidth, etc., etc. So you've got here squeezing bandwidth. You've got no real trend going on. So probably, you know, if we touch the top here or touch the bottom, there'll be an entry here somewhere, depending on what happens. To buy and try and reach the top of the band, and be an entry here. So, and this is what it does all the time, and it does it very well. It makes few mistakes. This is my basic version, okay? There's an ATR stop, which is quite wide. You'll find the stop probably out here somewhere. And so it gives time to run inside the band. So here is another view also of the system. The entry is exactly the same. This is my old system. I was selling at $1,000, and the entries are exactly the same as the BBSO scalper that you can get now, and the modules is just was you could basically tune every aspect of it. It's a really good program, and you can see the optimization is very thorough here. It's taking a very long time. It's going through. You can put the number of bands you want, etc. You know, it's taking everything into consideration. But it will come out with the same bands, and it will come in with the same entries exactly. Practically. This one has 2 filters instead of 1. This is the original filter, which I used in the scalper module, and this is another filter that was put in there as safety, which is based on the H1MA 20 slope, very simple. So you can have both filters on to be really sure you're not doing contrarian trade. So there's a hell of a lot of safety built in this module here. You can see here probably, look what happened. You've got an uptrend, okay, and we've gone above the band and no trade has been taken. So it worked very well because both filters were saying this is an uptrend. This is still calculated because I just put it back on, but I know they're both in an uptrend, so no trades were taken. Now, should this change and become a downtrend or a ranging, then you would take the trade and try and, reverse to the mean. I mean, there are a lot of reverse to the mean robots out there, right? Who was the first one to do it? I'm not saying I invented the technique, but reversal to the mean really works well. So you can do a basket of trades if you want, and you can have 4 or 5 entries here if you want. It's not a martingale system. It works out steps that are optimized, so the steps are optimized, and you can use one trade. I'm using one trade at the moment with much larger lots on euro 1 minute, and I'm getting very good income out of it. I would say about 8 out of 9 trades work. So think what you want. Go and, criticize me again, whatever, right? All this terrible, there are so many psychers on the internet. You would not believe. Some of the comments that were made, the pictures that were put up, it was just incredible. I don't know if it was a conspiracy, whatever it was. I'll always remember it till the end of my time. Anyway, I have a very good system. It's not a scam. I'm giving it to people. I'm not giving it. I'm putting, because basically I tried putting the price down, saying, well, everybody should be able to afford this system. I mean, but the ones that criticize me the most are the ones that paid the cheapest. Or the ones that got the robot free as a promotion or thing. They're the ones that wrote the worst reviews. The worst. Now, anybody who's paid up has become a good friend, and we discuss things, and I give them free, we exchange robots, we do all sorts of things, we get all sorts of freebies. That's the way we go on. And I've got a lot of experience. I got 30 years of experience. I got a lot of gifts to people. And MT4, luckily, is not a zoo. You're welcome to go and buy bots directly from other people. There's no safeguard, at least on MT4. If you knew the checking they go through before you can A, become a seller, B, get your bot approved. I mean, one capital letter out of place, it goes back and forth between you and the programmer. It's not easy to get the approval. I got it 8 times. So go and criticize me. And the only doubt I had, saying, well, maybe there's a better bot than mine. I've tried them all. And I'm going to can most of them. Can you imagine all this money I spend? I'm going to can them. Maybe another one I'm going to use, okay? But it all goes back to rolling your sleeves and using a mechanized system and being happy with it, okay? Now let me show you something else, which a client kindly put up, and this is his page for today. You can see the dates, and he cleverly is using a pair I'm not using, which is US dollar to Japan, okay? And look how well it's done. And he's been using very courageously the trend module, the volatility module, and this is what it's done today. So this is a very good machine. It's, you can find I wouldn't do New Zealand dollar to, as I always say, the Indian rupee or something. Be careful with spreads and things like that, but there is a spread filter. I use it on the Dow Jones, but I shouldn't get into this because then I get 150 questions. And everybody has different Dow Jones. Some expire, some don't, some have CFDs. It obviously works better on ECN. And listen, I'm selling this $161.8. If anybody knows something about retracement, they know what that means. And I'm not going to bring it down anymore because the people I get when I try and, I'm trying to help, and all I get is terrible reviews and horrible Correct. So I'm not going to do that